Hi, I'm Aku, host of the Public Diary. Welcome to the 12th episode. Today, we're doing a little intimate in my room session. You're going to be hearing a lot of external noises because guess what? It's spring finally in Korea and the sun's out. There's breeze. You can see me with my off the shoulder top. Like it's a good time to just you know, let some air in your room and relax. So I'm not as relaxed because I'm so excited to kind of share this topic with you guys and share my point of view of what we've come to discuss here today. Usually I'd be in my studio, but you know, this just felt so needed and I just wanted to get it out of my chest. It all started when I was sitting in class and I was, brainstorming what to talk about with you guys. And um, there are a lot of thoughts in my head that sort of contradict society's beliefs or what self-help would be considered otherwise. If you go up and look up online, right, you'd see a lot of conversation about how discipline makes a person, and I don't disagree. I 100% think that discipline can influence or shape a person's habits in for better or for worse, depending on what they do. Because discipline is not just positive; it can be destructive sometimes without the person knowing. So this is my take. I think discipline is a sort of coping mechanism that people use when they fear lack of self-control or they fear their ability to explore their own nature that might not abide by society's norms. So if you're finding yourself like off track, completely like crashing out maybe two times a week. And it's so normal if I have to use the terminology of crash outs or like depression episodes. I know that a lot of well, my friends are in uni, so we would also talk about seasonal depression, and it's a lot of more common terminology, and it's definitely because Gen Z is more open in talking about their mental health, mental well-being. Yeah, sometimes we might use it as an excuse to get out of class. I'm gonna be honest, it's not the best, but you never know. Like, I do feel like as a student who's studying abroad, there are periods where I don't feel as great, and I'm sure a lot of kids can also relate. Like, we don't want to attend that class, we don't want to go into the 9 a.m. class. We're just so done. Like, assignments are overwhelming us. The burden of catching up to or living up to standards that we've set for ourselves, or if not, the society has set for us because we're supposed to attain this by this age or have that experience by the time we reach that job position or applying for that job position or making it up to our relations, our friends, our boyfriends, girlfriends. Like it's so much. It's so much. And also take care of ourselves. How does one expect to function properly when they put so much in their plate? And sometimes, a few areas of one's life can overwhelm the others. Maybe because of priorities. You never know. Personalities can differ and priorities may differ. Y- I would not say for everyone career is their priority, for a lot of different people, like it can be spirituality, it can be their relations, it can be their heritage, their history. I think it's a common misconception that for us, like we're the only priority, when in fact, as humans, we don't function like that. And and to think that just education would be the main concern of a 20 something year old in your household is not the thing. It's not, that's not the only problem that we have. So when I talk about discipline, I think, I don't know, but I hope a lot of kids my age may be able to relate to this, or maybe you at some point in your life may have been able to recognize the lack of discipline in your life. And growing up, I think I always feared that loss of, like, the loss of control. Also because my mom did insinuate a lot of talks about, how discipline can improve one's life. And I I definitely wanted to. However, I always found myself in situations where the things around me that pressured me the most, obviously I didn't want to, I didn't want to be in a pressuring situation, but when I was put and thrown into a pressuring situation, I always delivered my best. So yeah, I'm probably the kind of person that works better when when I'm under pressure. Like instance for now, like I was supposed to post this episode back in Sunday, but with a lot of overlapping, contents and my personal schoolwork or different other things, I was not able to, yet I am here and I did finally find the topic that I wanted to talk about. And then, I was ready enough to come on screen and talk about it. So those are the kind of moments where I feel like, oh, now I can talk about it. Now I feel ready. Now I feel like the stars are aligning for me. I don't know much about spirituality with you guys, but I do believe in a lot of energy. And a lot of my creative work often flows from a part of me where I feel that heavy pull that I need to do it and that push that I need to do it. Hence why I always pop out with random different things. So if you see what I'm saying here is that a lot of the things in your life that you may have planned out may not always roll out that way. Discipline, it is a sort of formula that we create or we follow seeing others or we edit, we tweak it, and then we call it a discipline for ourselves. Consistency is one thing, discipline is another. Consistency is not about just repeating, it's about not giving up. Discipline is sort of a mentality that you create for yourself that you believe you should follow in order to achieve what you think is the ideal of what would work best in this society and in the world. So, if we're really thinking about it, in my opinion, it's a fear of one's exploration of themselves. I think it's limiting as well. Not every day is the same. Not every formula will work for you. If Mel Robbins has a certain formula, I'm going very harsh with Mel Robbins, but say Emma Chamberlain, Mel Robbins, or I don't know, any influential figure in your life, they're giving you advice on how to form discipline and how they did it. If you try and follow the same thing, it's not gonna work. You're a different person. Hence why we tweak it, right? But here's the main issue that I have with creating discipline creates a lot of barriers for you to explore life. Maybe you could be at some point in your life where you feel like you're lacking control. But what is control? Why do we fear having no sense of what's coming next? Do we expect negative outcomes all the time? I feel like these are questions you should be asking yourself because I'm someone who I realized eventually that discipline, yeah, I agree, for some people may work, but for some people who follow very intuitively, who are self-confident and self-reassured, and I don't know, I'm not saying that I'm 100% all these things, but I definitely do feel much more confident, much more aligned with myself when I listen to what I feel. And I'm sure I've talked about feelings a lot on this podcast. I'm someone who feels a lot of things. I'm not sure if you've realized that. But it's just the way I connect with the universe. The way I connect with my own desires, the way I connect with the deeper version of myself and find it a lot more comforting, a lot more favorable. So when I see people with very good discipline, I'm obviously more than impressed because that's not something I could find myself doing. I find that rather restricting. But I'd love for you, if you would like to explore this, I'd love for you to ask these sorts of questions to yourself. Why do you fear the lack of control? Because I obviously do have schedules. I obviously do have to-do lists. It does not, I don't, I'm not saying that I don't have my life under some sort of control. I do. However, being adaptable to situations, being able to create space, being able to honor moments that you feel inside of you, you know inside of you that, oh my God, this is never going to come back around. If I say no right now, I'm gonna miss this. Do it. What's stopping you? If you don't listen to those tiny, tiny voices in your head right now, you're gonna miss the perfect time that you could have lived that moment fully. So I feel like life has an abundance of opportunities. It's about being able to tap into yourself and recognizing these places of opportunities to make the most. And isn't that the ultimate goal of life either? I know many people have their own certain personal goals of like, oh, I want to be a Nobel Prize winner and then I'll be like happy when I die. But to be fair, that's probably not what's going to get into your grave. You're the only thing that's going to get into your grave, probably with clothes on and a little bit of makeup, but it's just you. And the only thing that's leaving that grave is your soul. And your soul has these collection of these memories, these collection of who you were in this life. And you want to make the most out of that. Like don't miss out on the opportunity to live every day that you've been given of. And I think that's what discipline restricts. It creates you to be a sort of person that you think and you deem is perfect for the current society, which, to be fair, society is always changing. And in this society, in this generation, where you can be anyone. I don't know why I quiver so much when I start talking about, my innermost thoughts. It's not coming from like a place of self-doubt or anything. It's more of how do I communicate this? If I write, yeah, things come out much easier. But when I start talking, it's a bit messy, and I'm sorry about that. Working towards it, but these have been the sort of things that's been on my mind. And I realized over time that maybe having a perfect formula is not the reason why I'm here. Maybe having no formula is the reason why I'm here. And I enjoy that. I feel happy from that. I don't know if it's going to be the same in 20 years or 10 years or 5 years, but for now, this is what I'm enjoying. And it's fine if you like discipline. It's fine. Go ahead with it by all means. If that's what's giving you peace and control and you feel full in yourself when completing discipline, do it. But also don't be afraid to explore the other sides. I'm sure people who lack discipline, they feel lost in many cases. But for me, for example, I question why I don't have discipline, right? I'm like, before, like in the earlier stages of when I was not accepting of the fact that I am a free flow person, I doubted myself a lot of times and wondered why I was not conforming to discipline like my peers were or like the other people around me were. What's wrong? What? But the question is, what's wrong with not having control? Why do we have so much desire to control situations where we absolutely do not have any control in. Number one, because number two, the universe flows in its own time. Everything that comes to you is in its own time. You never know what's going on tomorrow. You never know, and you did not expect the past. So, if that's not proof that lack of control is real and you're just existing in this world of lack of control, why are you trying to establish control? If I had to talk about consistency, that's a different thing. And why I believe so is because consistency comes at its own interval periods. It does not restrict one to abide by consistent like efforts. In fact, it's about consistent passion, in my opinion. It's not about time. It's about the force you put into a certain task or a certain dream that you have. And by default, you will be doing it every day. Artists, musicians, I don't know, scientists, like people who are passionate in their fields will not live one day without being able to do it. So in my terminology, consistency equals to passion. So if you're passionate about something, you will be consistent in it. If you're not passionate about it, reevaluate your passions. You're probably not going to be consistent in what you consider as passion. I was having a banter with ChatGPT, and I will be completely honest. Sometimes I talk to ChatGPT, and it's honestly so fun. So I wrote this thing where I said, I think as a child, I always feared the lack of self control. Yet finding freedom for me has been always making decisions that make me feel safe enough to exist. And when I say safe enough to exist, the fact that when your body and mind are at constant pull and push of where you are in your life, you're not feeling safe to live. You're not feeling safe to function. Thus, you go into shutting down or you go into like short or long periods of depression. You're going through crash outs, burnouts, and that is your body telling you that I don't feel safe enough to exist in this world. When you feel comfortable and you exercise communication with your mind, communication with your emotions, communication with the moment, and you feel positive, that is essentially you feeling safe enough to live a life. Another controversial opinion is that living is not a very easy thing. As humans, we are blessed to be on this earth, but it is a constant fight for survival. It's at least how I see it. And we're blessed with this beauty of living. But at the same time, to be able to feel safe enough to live, you're in this battle of survival. In this battle of survival, how are you going to maintain and regulate yourself if you are constantly in the depths of negativity? It's just not it's not what we want for ourselves. So try to find more reasons to be happy is what I think my message is essentially. And try not to worry about things that you do not have control over. Sometimes there is control in letting go. So don't worry. And I'm not saying that discipline is only there to make you feel safe. It challenges you for sure. Not at it, but not as much as your fears do. And your fears lie in the unknown. So what happens when you challenge that? You explore new parts. And definitely, this varies from person to person. Everyone has very different opinions about it. Everyone will have very different outlooks, very different approaches to the unknown. But I feel like once we collectively do realize its potential, there's a lot more happiness we can find from the little moments, the little bits of life rather than focusing on the bigger picture of what we think we want. It's not definitely your major milestones do make up for, your greatest happiness, but do you realize how much effort that takes? Do you realize how much work you put in? Yes, it makes you happy, but it took you a lot to reach there. What about the moments you essentially felt the happiest? You feel accomplished when you achieve a milestone. You feel accomplished when you achieve that thing. But when is the peak happiness that you feel in? It's in the work to achieving that milestone. It's in the cries to achieving that milestone. So when you live by the day, you become less granted for life. You start expecting less out of life. You look forward to living each other day. And then life just becomes a lot more exciting. That's what I think. And I just came here to share my thoughts because, talking about life and like these little sorts of discoveries mean a lot. Um, it's just my diary journal coming out here, to be honest. But if you found this helpful, do let me know. Do let me know what you think about discipline and lack of self-control or self-control in itself, and how you're doing, because this is a check-in episode. I'll see you on Sunday. I love you so much. Bye bye.